goes. We have a very interesting day to review some things. Following yesterday's very much on the nose movements across the markets during traditional markets, and even before that, and even after that. It was basically entirely on the nose when we looked at Bitcoin yesterday, and I wrote in our Discord what it was likely to do with the volatility, and that said that the short length and medium length were looking down and the long length was looking up. And basically in the time succession, probabilities also were looking as though the price action was going to fall and then bounce. And what happened throughout the day? If you look at the VRE charts, you'll see that's exactly what happened. If you look at the price action chart, you can see that's what happened throughout the course of the day. It was falling and falling, and then it bounced. And you can say, well, at the very end of the day, it dipped a little from the high, yeah, but it fell and bounced, and then just people took some profits up at the top. And then so far today, Tuesday, it has fallen off very nicely, lower than yesterday's lows, in fact, right beneath the center of the central monthly range. So we saw the asset actually already have very nice action on the downside so far today. And does it look like it can continue that kind of movement to the downside? Well, yeah, it in fact looks very much like it could continue that kind of movement. I honestly didn't even look yet through all the charts, but what I can tell you, as I did look through the weekly charts and the daily charts and everything else yesterday, so got a wonderful set of forecasts done and shared, and we saw that so far day one of that played out basically perfectly. Day two also played out very well, because if you look at what these 7 days were showing and what the daily was showing, right, we were approaching various areas of interest regarding the RMLRs and the third bands of those RMLRs on a whole bunch of different time frames. There was a very nice mean reversion yesterday, for example, on the 3 hour. All kinds of really nice things happening. In the 4 hour, there were some nice areas of interest. So, as always, by the way, Solana also, if you were watching our live stream yesterday, then you would have noticed that I told you that Solana was basically set to make a very nice move, and possibly bounce up into the high 180s, or looks like even to the 190s, but at least the 180s within the next possibly week or two, depending on a number of factors. Of course, it doesn't have to go that way. I'm just saying that is a target in the probabilities that it can actually bounce up to 180, which if it goes to 180, 182, 184 would be great. It might even go, if it does what it might do, and revert up to the 180 to 190 zone. Now, why do I say that? Well, because of looming mean reversion. Meaning, once we see that the asset is actually in mean reversion, the RMLR to which it would mean revert is up in that area for the time being. Hey. Oh. Hey, buddy. Hello. Oh, yeah, you good cat. Good cat. So many animals always saying hello and being friendly. I love it. So yeah, there are mean reversions, in fact, set for Solana to the 190 mark. Now, I was also looking at Ethereum BTC and noticed that it is actually primed to go pretty much sideways. Now, there'll be ups and downs, but for now, looking out for the next month or so at least, it looks like it's pretty much set to go fairly sideways. And if you look on the higher time frames, it's also looking to go fairly sideways. A run up to the third band up of the RMLRs, let's say on the weekly, would take that asset significantly higher than it is now. But as I mentioned on yesterday's live stream, the probability of people seeing a 30 or 35K Ethereum even some months or a year after the Ethereum ETF is launched, whenever that happens, which looks like it might happen as early as July, but could be as late as, who knows, September maybe. It all depends on the paperwork and the bureaucrats, I guess. But whenever that does launch, the expectation of seeing that asset run up to 30 or 35K is frankly very, how shall I put this nicely, unrealistic. Now, why do I say that? Well, first of all, what was Ethereum's value against Bitcoin at the previous all-time high in like 2017, right? 2018. It was around 0.15 Bitcoin per Ethereum, right? So if it was then that, and it has yet to get back to that, in fact, since it's fallen from there, right, and it went down to the lows and all the way down to like 0.016 or something like that, so basically it fell like 90%, even more. Since it went to those lows, it has yet to go back above half of that value, like 0.087 or something like that, right? So it hadn't even hit 0.09, let alone 0.15, right? And that isn't necessarily a good thing if you're looking for long-term strength against Bitcoin. And part of that is because Bitcoin is partly a gas scam, and they don't intend to fix it. And the only people that can really afford to use it day to day are the big banks and companies and other whales that have huge bags who don't care about paying, $1,000 transaction fee on some ridiculous thing. Right? Most average people can't afford that. They don't want to play with that. They're not interested. They'd rather, buy meme coins, or they'd rather buy Solana, which is much cheaper transactions, or they'd rather buy, some Bitcoin, which has, frankly, lower transaction fees most of the time. Far lower, right? Significantly lower. I mean, people are sending massive amounts of money on Bitcoin for $1, 50 cents, $3. Like, it's not super expensive. Ethereum, it's not uncommon for the transaction fee, just the money necessary to spend to send the money you want to send. The transaction fee costs more than the actual money you're sending, which is insane. And then you find that it's not just once, it's not just but that's already ridiculous. It's multiple times more expensive. So if you want to spend I want to send somebody $100, I might end up having to send an additional $500 in transaction fees. Like literally a $100 transaction could cost me $600. Who the hell needs to do that? That's retarded. The only people that would do that are people who don't care about money, like banks, financial institutions, etc., who are essentially, quote unquote, working out the bugs, but they're not even doing that. They're building a platform designed on, we don't care about the average user having to spend a ton of money on transaction fees. Because they really don't care. Like, they genuinely don't care. Like, they're just continuation of what the old world banking system does. And the way that they view it is, screw the users. We don't want to make life easier for them. And at some point, if we have to lower the fees, we'll do it only because the market demands it. But until then, we're just going to keep ripping people off. Like, that's really how they think. And you can tell me, no, what are you talking about? Ethereum's decentralized. It's a real cryptocurrency. First of all, it's not a matter of whether it's decentralized or it's a real cryptocurrency. It's a matter of whether or not it's practical for average people. If the only thing it's good for is to be a laundromat for whales, Okay, then great. You could have just stuck with fiat. That was working pretty well, right? If your whole idea of a great new crypto to be the computer of everything, which is a retarded statement in and of itself, right? Microsoft tried that decades ago. How'd that work out? We're only going to need 6 computers for the world. It's just retarded. A new computer for everything. No, not a new computer for everything. Not everybody wants to compute on Ethereum. Thinking that people would want to compute on Ethereum, like the average person wants to switch from what they already have to something that's slow and crappy, right, and costs a fortune to use, is just so retarded. It's not even. It's inexplicably bad, right? So if you're wondering why the prospects of that thing don't look so good, there's a reason for it. That's why. But there's the most developers on it. Yeah, there's the most developers on it because they work for the banks and financial institutions and governments that pay them their salaries to work on it. And if they paid them to work on cheddar cheese, that's what they'd work on because it's their job. Okay, they don't care what they're told to do. They're just developers, human beings who need to get paid. So it's a complete. I mean, sorry, but I don't mean to rant against Ethereum, but I do, because I'm sick and tired of people saying, "Oh, it's such an amazing." It's not an amazing coin. First of all, it's not an amazing coin. It's not an original thought that it has. Oh, smart contracts. First of all, they're dumb contracts. There's really nothing so amazing about them compared to what already exists on other blockchains. Ethereum has different features. Sure. Has different coding abilities. Sure, yes. It is more programmable in certain ways than Bitcoin was. But guess what? There have been things added to Bitcoin. SegWit, ordinals, runes. There are other things being proposed that may or may not be added to Bitcoin that also make it programmable. And guess what? You can already program smart contracts and include Bitcoin into it. So effectively, it's the same thing. And there's already layer 2 solutions and layer 3 solutions. But they're not scaled yet. Right. That's also true. They also have to grow. But products like Ethereum, which are 100% a gas scam and are ripping people off like massive amounts, I mean, I'm sorry, but I hate to say it is a complete scam. And I like crypto a lot. And yes, I've used Ethereum a lot. And I consider it to be a scam because of the gas fees, which are insane and not justifiable. And it is easily solved, but they refuse to do it because they don't want to redo all that thing and they got to release a new version. So release a new damn version. They had all these years to fix it. And when they switched from proof of work to proof of stake, instead of fixing it, when they did all that recode, when they did all that re-engineering, what did they do? With all those years of test nets, until they switched on the mainnet of proof of stake, what did they do? They didn't touch the gas scam. They didn't even approach it. Because they know that's the incentive for the miners, that the people that were mining it, to now the stakers and all the whales to keep ripping off people. That's their incentive to keep staying with Ethereum. Otherwise, they would dump it like a hot potato. The only reason that the average person who has a node, staking right now, is because either, if they have a big enough position, because they have like however many Ethereums they have to have, right? Or the main reason is because they're running transactions with their nodes, right? And so they're getting paid ridiculous fees just to transact Ethereum transactions. Like exorbitant, like beyond exorbitant. I know it sounds like, oh, what are you talking about? It's not a few bucks. Okay. For the average person, having to pay 4 or 5 times the value of a transaction just on the transfer fee is nuts. Okay, you have to send somebody $50 or $10, and then you have to pay like an additional hundreds of dollars just to send it. Nobody can do that. Okay? When I say nobody, I mean the average American or average person anywhere. Nobody can do that. Right? The average American doesn't even have $1,000 in case of an emergency. You think you're going to spend $600 sending an Ethereum transaction? You're kidding yourself. No, you don't understand. It's going to get cheaper. Bro, it's been around for a decade. Hasn't gotten cheaper. Has it? No, it hasn't. So why are you telling me it's going to get cheaper? Right? It's been around for the better part of a decade already. It has not gotten cheaper. It has not gotten better. In fact, if anything, it's gotten worse. Transaction fees have climbed over the years. Significantly. They haven't been solved in any way, shape, or form. Again, I don't mean to make this just a rant about Ethereum, but it pains me to watch this market develop in this way when so much effort was put on making decentralized cryptocurrencies that actually bring value to real people. And then you have a coin like Ethereum taking so much shine from this industry, getting so much love and light and attention, and it's the biggest scam of them all. 100% it is the biggest scam of them all. I don't care what people tell me. It's not a scam. You know what the transaction fees are. It's not a scam if you know it's up front. No. It's a scam. Because first of all, most people don't understand how the transaction fees work. They have no idea how much it's going to cost them. And they just click confirm. They don't all read the details. Oh, but they're supposed to read the details. Yes, they're supposed to read the details, but they don't. And that's why if you make everything ultra fine print and hide the terms and bury them, and you use stupid language like, this is going to cost you gwei, okay, without explaining what the hell gwei are to the average person, you're scamming people. You tell them it's going to cost a certain number of gwei. You don't tell them what that's going to mean in real dollars or euros or pounds or whatever fiat they're used to using. They have no idea how much it's actually going to cost. You also make it so that there's certain thresholds and minimums that will or will not be accepted, and you also don't even tell them, right, that if their minimum bid isn't accepted, they might not lose. They might not lose only their ability to send that transaction, like it might get rejected, but you might keep their transfer fee, and in fact, you might even keep their whole transfer. Did you know that? That's literally highway robbery right there. Right? Like they can say, nope, we don't accept it, but we're keeping the money you want to send. Oh, you never saw that happen before? No, that definitely happens with Ethereum contracts. You can be buying or selling something using Ethereum or an ERC20 token, which is built off of Ethereum, and you can send it, but because the transfer fee you sent was too low, and you didn't have any reasonable plain English or plain language explanation telling you exactly what the fee was going to be, that the entire transaction got not only rejected, but kept by the network. So they're literally just stealing people's money. And you wonder why people are, why Ethereum leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. It's precisely because of that. So, anyway, don't mean to rip on Ethereum all day, but honestly, sometimes that one really gnaws at me, especially when I see people who are new to the space using that trash and then wondering why they end up not liking the whole experience. Well, it's because that particular coin is not good for the ecosystem, in my opinion. has a lot of change and work to do, to be improved. Until they make those changes, it will be far from the best coin, in my opinion. It'll be one to avoid. It'll be one that does not deliver on the promise of cryptography and cryptocurrency, let alone smart contracts. Oh, but all the best NFTs are on Ethereum. Really? Really? No. No, not all the best NFTs are on Ethereum. Sorry, not even close. Most NFTs worth anything on Ethereum were only worth that, unfortunately, because of a lot of hype about the Ethereum ecospace, and they were overpriced like hell. And the proof is in the pudding. Look how much these things have fallen, and how people don't want anything to do with them anymore. And a lot of that was predicted years ago, right, by yours truly and many others. Now, could people who make NFTs for that ecosystem also make them on other chains and give people the equivalent of them on other chains? Yes, and some already have, and some are going to. Because all in all, it's not that NFTs are the problem, it's that the Ethereum space is the problem. It's not a good blockchain. It's just not. It's a very, very bad user experience. When you're being ripped off like that, and again, I don't mean to harp on it, but I do, because it's something that nobody seems to care about at the level of we can fix this, meaning the core developers of Ethereum. They don't care to fix it. They're paid by the banks, they're paid by the governments, they're paid by the financial institutions. Just do what we say. Program this garbage we want, which is more banking applications with ridiculous fees built in. That's all they're doing. If you think they're doing something more unique and original and wonderful than that, please tell me what it is. Because look at what Ethereum developers are actually building for the big customers who are actually paying them their salaries. They're being paid to build banking-related applications. Okay, so for all their talk about, oh, this is going to be the one computer for everything, really? Is the thing you do with your computer just financial applications and nothing else? Is that all you do on your computer? You don't play games, you don't do health-related stuff, you don't do social media stuff, you don't blog or make videos or write stuff, you don't plan stuff, you don't have a calendar, you don't use email, you don't do any of these things. You just basically focus entirely on finance. Sorry, not believable, right? Shopping, right? All kinds of stuff, DIY stuff, right? There's no shortage of what people use their computers for. But what are all the developers on Ethereum actually building for? And if you tell me, but there's investors, who started companies building things for Ethereum, how's that going? Who's using Ethereum applications right now that aren't related to finance, like on a regular basis? How big is that community? For all their talk, for all their years of development, right? They haven't made a dent compared to the amount of people that have a passing interest in the general concept of cryptocurrency and blockchain and Web3 and all that stuff. It hasn't made a dent. Was there 1 million people who have an NFT? Ooh, is it 2 million now? After how many years? I mean, I'm sorry, but that's pathetic. When you have as much money as they do, and you can't get 1 million people, or 2 million people, or 10 million people to be active vocal proponents of your thing, they're just in it to flip burgers, basically. Right? If you can't do better than that, with the amount of billions of dollars these people have accumulated, I'm sorry, but you don't really have a very scalable product. The market has spoken. The market says this stuff sucks. We don't want it. Give us something better. But no, the people with the money are going to keep pumping this because they're dumb. And I say that as a professional term, as a technical term. When I say they're dumb, I mean they don't understand this ecosystem. They don't really care to learn about it. They just see money signs and opportunity for more money. Good for them. Wonderful. May they make more. But that doesn't mean they're smart about the ecosystem. Right? The only thing they're smart about, maybe, is how to accumulate more crap and keep it out of the hands of people who paid for it. But the thing is, they're making a lot of that money by scamming people. And by the time regulators swoop in, they will have already made a huge pile. Regulators are not going to take everything away from them because they're the wealthy and they would never get harmed by the regulators. Worst case, they'll have to pay some fines, which they won't because this is unregulated stuff still. And they're going to keep scamming people, and it's just going to keep getting passed off as, oh, this is just how it works in crypto. No. I'm sorry, but Ethereum is beyond the pale when it comes to scamming people. And it is a very maddening thing. This is why I prefer other blockchains. You know, this is why even some blockchains that at least will say we are only a financial, we are built for financial stuff. We're not built for games. We're not built for anything else. They don't pretend to be the one thing for everything. That's Ethereum's problem, trying to be the one thing for everything. You can't be the one thing for everything. It's not a thing. You know why? Because humans are competitive. We have a competitive nature. That means that people want to compete. That means that nobody wants the one thing. Yeah, some people want it, but the amount of people that want it are so minuscule that you have to realize, if you're one of those people, that nobody wants the one thing. I can tell you, I want a one-drop video system where I make one video and it uploads to every single video site on the world. Or the top 5,000 of them, or whatever. Even the top 100. Doesn't exist. Yeah, you can buy certain solutions for certain amounts of money. They're all incomplete. They all suck. They never quite work right. And you still have to do like tons of work. None of them are automatic. Truly automatic. I can tell you the same thing about writing blogs. They are all gatekept or gatekept at the different places. You have to post things manually. Even if you use a semi-automatic poster, you still end up having to do a lot of work. You can't just write one thing, hit publish, and have it go to 10,000 places. You should be able to, but you can't. Because the people that own those platforms don't want you to have that kind of reach. Right? And if you're already a known celebrity, blah, 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 guess what? You're going to hire people to do that for you. They're just going to go around and post your thing on 100 things because that's their job. It's the same thing with Ethereum. They want to gatekeep people and scam them at the same time. That makes it even worse. So, anyway, like I said, I don't mean to just rip on Ethereum in this video. And I don't see very much tremendous upside happening on it. Certainly not for a while. Could it go up significantly from where it is now? Yes. Like it could go back up to 0.08 or even 0.1 possibly. I don't see it going up to 0.15 anytime soon, or definitely not, you know, all-time highs in terms of ETH BTC. If you want to talk about ETH dollar prices, whoop-de-doo, I really don't care about that. But like, think about, again, if everybody's talking about $100,000 Bitcoin, they don't look at the VEPs, they have no idea. But let's just say, for the sake of discussion, that Bitcoin gets to 100 grand, even this year, or within the next 12 months, okay? Let's just say it does. 0.15, which would be the all-time high ETH BTC rate, 0.15 of 100 grand is, and maybe you suck at math, but you should realize 15% of 100 grand is 15 grand, right? Is 15 grand as much or more than 30 grand or 35 grand? Obviously not, right? Is it possible that it can have some insane price leap to 0.3 Bitcoin if Bitcoin's at 100 grand, or 0.35 Bitcoin? It's possible. It's highly improbable. So when people talk about Ethereum going to 30 or 35K, keep in mind the sources of who's telling you that information and what their interests are. Keep in mind why they're telling you they're so hyped and pumped on Ethereum. Oh, it's the greatest. We got the most programmers. We have the most developers. Blah, 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 blah. All the banks use it. Great, you're just confirming more of what I just said. So the odds are very unlikely. The probabilities are extremely small that it's going to go to anything close to 0.3 Bitcoin per Ethereum within the next year. And if it does, Bitcoin will not be worth 100 grand. But consider this: if Ethereum goes to 30 to 35K and doesn't pass the previous all-time high, right, of ETH BTC, then that would mean that Bitcoin would have to be like $225,000-$250,000. Which, okay, that may be wonderful and all, but that is still very far away from where we are now. That doesn't mean it's not going to happen, but it could easily take more than a year. You know, if you think it's going straight up to the moon as soon as we start pumping again, you're kidding yourself. You don't seem to understand how the VEPS works. These things grow in stages. The fact that we had rocket-like growth in the first couple of years of Bitcoin is because it started from zero. And it went up to like $10. And then 50 and 100. There's a big difference between going from 0 to 100, where you get insane returns, versus when you go from 60K to 200K, where your returns are far less, but the dollar value of that coin is dramatically different. So keep that in mind. People should have really realistic expectations of this stuff. It's not just going to go to millions of dollars overnight. You know, that little percentage of a coin you have in your pocket, in your wallet. It's not just going to suddenly be worth millions. You need to build and stack. That's why wealthy people are building and stacking. That's why they're buying and stacking. They're not just holding on. And that's why they're buying a diverse portfolio of coins. And yes, they're also buying the crappy coins like Ethereum, because the people who have a lot of money are going to hedge their position, their fiat position. They're going to hedge it with crypto, so that when the day comes that fiat is truly dead and crypto has taken over, well, they're well ensconced in their crypto digs, and they haven't lost any wealth. It's just flipped from fiat to crypto, and the people who are wealthy now are going to be pretty much the same people who were wealthy then. And you can say, well, but not every millionaire can afford a Bitcoin. Yes, that's true. But they can afford part of one. Just like the average person can. And they can accumulate other coins, just like the average person can. And that's exactly what they're doing. And it's not that every millionaire can't afford a Bitcoin. Technically, they can all afford it if they're millionaires. It's that they can't buy one because there just isn't enough of a supply. And they don't want one if they're real millionaires, if they have a lot of money. They want many. And so if they can't get many, they're going to buy other stuff. They're going to buy a bunch of Solana. They're going to buy a bunch of Ethereum. They're going to buy a bunch of Litecoin. They're going to buy a bunch of whatever they can get their hands on. So, anyway, keep those things in mind, and happy days, folks. Happy stacking, racking, and trading. May the crypto be with you always.